simply to encourage you to just take a moment to open your Bible and look into it and listen to what God has to say to you from it. This program is sponsored by the Booneville Church of Christ. We care about your soul. In fact, the study that we are finishing today is about your soul and how precious it is. We are looking at the parable of the lost coin that is taught in chapter 15 of Luke, verses 8 through 10. We've already looked at the parable of the lost sheep, verses 3 through 7. We had already noticed in verses 1 and 2 how that Jesus taught these parables in response to the scribes and Pharisees who criticized Jesus because of his concern about the lost souls that he gathered to him and had a relationship with. He cared about them, and that was obvious. They considered those individuals worthless, not worthy of their attention, certainly not worthy of heaven's attention. And Jesus, then, through the parable of the lost sheep and now the lost coin, points out how that is a false understanding. Souls are valuable. Now, our takeaway, let's read the text again as we move into our thoughts today. Or what woman having 10 silver coins, if she loses one coin, does not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? And when she has found it, she calls her friends and neighbors together, saying, Rejoice with me, for I have found the piece which I lost. Likewise, I say to you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. Now, look at your screen. We have already noticed takeaway number one and number two, that souls are valuable. We talked about that coin, that drachma, that was worth about 65 cents. But I want to point out here, it was valuable to her because it was precious. It represented her livelihood. Without it, there would be loss. And that's what the Greek word loss had in mind there. But again, I don't want to go backward. We've already talked about that. But I do want to point something out that I don't think I've pointed out to you. Have you considered that in the book of Genesis, let me go back here, what made that valuable? How is it that that woman could take that coin and take it and give it to a merchant and receive goods in return? Because the inscription on that coin made it recognizable as having that drachma value because it was from the Roman government. Now, think about that just for a minute and understand in the book of Genesis that God created man in his own image, gave man a living soul created in the image of God. Your soul is valuable because it comes from God, because it has God's image stamped upon it. Now, the second thing we notice is that sometimes souls are lost through negligence. But I want us very quickly to look at takeaway number three. Recovering a lost soul involves time and effort. Notice what she did. She light, she lights a lamp. She sweeps the house. She searches carefully. She's not like teenagers sometimes who come and say, I've lost my phone or I've lost the paper that had to be signed for school. Well, have you looked for it? Yes, I've looked everywhere. And you walk in the room, take two steps, and pick it up. They thought they were looking, but they really weren't looking. This woman looked everywhere. She looked under the cushion and under the couch and everywhere. She took a light and made sure there was no shadow place. It took effort to find it. And the takeaway for you and me is that sometimes there are things that have to be done drastically. It takes some effort to get someone's attention and say, brother, sister, if you don't change, you're going to be lost. I love you that much. Sometimes you have to go back a second time. Sometimes you have to be neglected, mistreated, ignored, even told to get away. But you still keep reaching out. Why? Because it takes effort. And there are sometimes things that I have to do in my life that require to me to reach further and dig deeper and get rid of some things. I have to do some things that take a little effort to save my soul. And so you and I need to understand that. But then, very quickly, number four, recovering lost souls involves heaven. What was it that Jesus said? I say to you, there's joy in the presence of angels, the angels of God over one sinner who repents. Heaven cares about lost souls, and therefore you and I must care about lost souls. Thank you so much for studying the parable of the lost coin with me. I look forward to continuing our study of Luke chapter 15. May God bless you